Hello, everybody. We're talking about crisis communications today. And it's important for us to start out with defining what exactly is a crisis. It can be many, many things, right? It could be something like a parishioner getting seriously ill, or the website going down, or a COVID outbreak. These are all things that can be considered crisis, aside from things like natural disasters or fires. The definition of a crisis in this situation is an incident that occurs with the potential of affecting the church and or causing damage to its reputation in the community. It's important that those two things are held separately and together at the same time. It can be something that can affect your reputation, or it's something that can affect the church and its parishioner base, or its staff, or those things combined. Understanding a crisis, it's important that we know that crisis is both a time of opportunity and a time of danger. How the church responds to a crisis can define its future success in its neighborhood and its community. Effective crisis communications can minimize damage, restore an organization's reputation, and build resilience for that organization. Remember, it's an opportunity. Crises are hard, they're very difficult, they can be painful, emotionally fraught, but is an opportunity for the church to be the hands and feet of Christ in the world for people. Here's an example. In 1982, Tylenol faced a severe crisis when cyanide-laced capsules led to the deaths of 7 people in the Chicago area. Johnson & Johnson's response is widely regarded as the benchmark in crisis communications. They swiftly recalled 31 million bottles of Tylenol nationwide, issued warnings to the public, and cooperated fully with the media and authorities. Their swift action resulted in increased trust in the organization and prompted sweeping change to the entire industry, eventually developing tamper-proof lids that are in standard use today. The lids that are hard to get off, that's because of this case. Tylenol is now the trusted over-the-counter fever and pain reducer for children worldwide. That's how much they retained or regained trust from people after this terrible thing that happened. So when we're responding to a crisis, and I bet that's what we're here for, is how do we respond to crises? So there's an arc to it. There's the initial crisis, the big boom, where everything happens and there's a lot of excitement, there's a lot of emotion, and then there's sustained nervousness as we continue into the crisis. Everybody is anxious, and there's this feeling that's going around in the community. Eventually, that will peak. There's a climax to that as we recover, and the recovery can be very slow sometimes, but eventually we will reach a new normal, where folks understand that this is how we live now. So when a crisis happens, the very first thing to do is have a calm assessment. Determine where the situation is occurring and meet the situation head on with a unified message. Remind junior team members that they should not respond to negative comments directly on social media, to let the communications team handle it. So the very first thing you need to do is coordinate, right? Gather your team. Bring all of the leaders that have a stake in the situation together. Bring in the experts, the bishop and the diocesan staff if necessary. This is no time to be winging it. This is when you want the best and most experienced people advising you. The team should comprise of your priest in charge, appropriate church staff, and lay leadership. Get the facts first. Do not jump to conclusions. Get the facts first. There are multiple sides to every story, and more often than not, the first story you are given is usually not comprehensive. Also, do not let your emotions get the best of you. You must work with facts, not feelings. In gathering the facts, we need to assess or nail down the location and time of the incident, how and when the incident was reported. Is the crisis physical, a natural disaster, a result of human agency, etc.? Any safety, security, health, or other implications to the church or staff? And are there any legal implications? These are just a few of the things that you need to consider. More questions to answer. Where are we getting our information from, and is it reliable? Is anyone hurt? Is there any damage to the property? what is being mentioned in the press, and who in the congregation or local community needs to be informed immediately. Now it's time to draft your initial public statement. This should include a call for prayers for victims and all those affected by the crisis. Include only details that are confirmed facts. Again, facts, not feelings. Make it clear that the church leadership is aware of the situation and working on it. Hold the safety of everyone involved at the highest priority. That includes identity and otherwise. Have the statement reviewed by the crisis response group before publication. Now it's time to take a moment and stop. Take a breath and make sure that no one on your team is responding to comments on the matter. Not off the record, not on the record, not on social media, not through a third party. It's important that this is a time when all communications goes through a single individual. And that's why you assign a spokesperson. Too many cooks in the kitchen could not be more true in a crisis communication situation. Team members often feel the need to defend the church, right, as we would. But having more than one voice responding to the press or on social media is just a recipe for disaster. Delegating one point of contact to manage the messaging and responses helps make the crisis manageable. So there are many ways to communicate, as we all know, right? We can use the phone, you can use mail, email, website, social media, a public announcement, press release, or one-on-one conversations. These are all effective ways to communicate with your stakeholders, depending on the level of the crisis and the immediacy. Make sure we know who, what, when, and where. Again, facts only include definitive facts. Verify everything you say when you're communicating. Actions. What actions are we taking as an organization? What assistance can be offered to those affected? And contact information. How can we reach those affected or the leadership if needed? So if the news media gets involved, it seems to ratchet up the energy level a lot when you get a camera right in your face asking you questions. And so it's important to know and be prepared for these moments. The first thing you want to do is communicate your prepared statement. Use only the confirmed facts when you're talking with the news. The names of victims should be shared only when it's appropriate. Oftentimes we need to talk with families or with other stakeholders before releasing identity of folks. Refer to the policies and procedures when you can't discuss any details with the news. And check your emotional attitude. If you're upset, make sure that you calm yourself down. Express concern and compassion when it's appropriate. And this is important. If you do not know, do not guess or speculate. Only facts, and I will find that out for you. There is no off the record when you're talking with the news, ever. I don't care if it's your best friend who is a journalist. You are never off the record when you are talking to a journalist. So as we move into the new normal, the crisis has happened. There's been this rising anxiety, and it's peaked and started to settle down because we've had quality crisis communications, and we've settled into this new normal. And so we need to determine what additional communications pieces or resources are needed to answer ongoing questions about the crisis. Evaluate your crisis response efforts, what worked well, what didn't. Update your crisis communications plan and educate members on its purposes. Jeff Green is happy to work with you. You can email him at jgreen@edsd.org for help about your crisis response plan. Consider how you can be an asset to your neighborhood during a future crisis. And so let's think about how we can be a place where people come for respite, for safety, and for rest when everything seems to go awry. And remember what John F. Kennedy said. When written in Chinese, the word crisis is composed of two characters. One represents danger, the other one represents opportunity. And so while crises are dangerous, they also have an opportunity for us to serve people and be the hands and feet here on in the world for Jesus Christ.